Mega Drive profile.
Contra Hardcore for the Mega Drive is fucking insane. It is considered the best Contra ever made, even over Alien Wars for the Super Nintendo. The reality is that both games are products of their hardware, in other words, extremely different from each other. I'm here to shed some light on what makes Hardcore special and highly regarded. Let's get started.
Gameplay.
The objective of Contra is to gun down and destroy everything in your path as you reach the boss at the end of the stage. You can carry up to 4 different weapons with a slot reserved for bombs. Weapons are obtained and upgraded by shooting the flying capsule pods. If you die, the weapon you had equipped will be lost, but the bombs you have collected will remain in your arsenal. Hardcore introduced sliding. Sliding grants you invulnerability frames and damages certain enemies. It's quite useful and necessary for survival. There are a total of 4 characters to choose from, each with their own unique weapons and properties. Ray is the balance character, whose weapon selection is quite solid. He can equip classic weapons like the homing missiles and lasers. Sheena shares the same traits as Ray, wielding a different set of solid weapons. Her movement seems the fastest out of the 4. Fang is the most used character if the internet is any indication. It's justified, since he is the most powerful of the 4 and the coolest looking at that. Being the strongest comes with a catch, since his weapons require more precision and are short range minus the machine gun. Use his charge weapon to deal nice damage to bosses. Brownie is the perfect character for beginners as he has the smallest hitbox that can perform a double jump. Take advantage of this when dodging tricky projectiles. This little robot guy kicks so much ass. And speaking of ass kickings, this game will give it to you, man. If you're a first time player, expect a lot of this. The US version is known for its challenging difficulty, but it's not like this in Japan. The Japanese Hardcore contains a life bar, allowing you to be hit 3 times before you die. When the game was brought to America, they removed the life bar entirely. You can see how this makes the US version quite challenging. If Brownie isn't doing the trick, then give the Japanese ROM a go. It's how the game is supposed to be played, so no shame in your game. I've seen several videos on Hardcore before making mine, and they don't seem to talk about this crucial distinction. It's strange, seeing as how this game is regarded as the most demanding of all Contra games. One of the unique things about Hardcore is the branching paths. After you beat the first stage, you're given the option to either save the research center or go after Deadeye Joe. Whichever you choose will result in a different path, as you'll be making more choices after beating stage 4. This expands the replayability as now you have 14 stages to play through and 5 different endings to uncover. There are some awesome secrets and Easter eggs to be found. No worries, I won't give them away here. I am a huge action game fanatic, and Hardcore gives the perfect gameplay fix. It's fucking phenomenal.
Graphics.
Hardcore features fantastic visuals, especially considering all the on-screen carnage. The graphic style very lightly reminds me of Metal Slug, more so in the boss department if anything. It plays as good as it looks. Besides, I thrive for special effects like parallax scrolling or massive explosions. There is a cool boss that uses a constellation effect to form different foes such as a raging bull or a pair of cupids. People tend to say that the Genesis cannot perform graphically, but that is clearly nonsense. Besides Hardcore, I can name many different games on Mega Drive that smash that stereotype to bits. But these are the same people who can probably tell you what Miyamoto has for breakfast. In other words, I really don't take them seriously. Now, I think the Super Nintendo is a great system, but its hardware isn't suited for these kinds of games. This results in the infamous SNES slowdown, with Contra 3 showing signs of this when using the bombs, for example. The shoot 'em up genre tends to get the worst of it, taking some of the heaviest tolls on that system. However, I love it when a game breaks the limit to showcase exaggerated explosions or effects. It looks cool as hell in my eyes, but it needs to be done in style. Not many people share this sentiment with me, but here are a few examples. Hardcore is totally one of the best looking games on Mega Drive, but please consult your doctor if your eyes are sensitive to excessive flashing and pattern changes, because they are very frequent in this game. Konami must really enjoy LSD, man. What the fuck?
Story and plot.
The year is 2641. An elite team of commandos called the Contra Hardcore have been assembled to combat the rapid spread of crime and illegal activities following the war. When a hacker infiltrates the city's security system and reprograms a group of unmanned robots to cause havoc, the Hardcore are deployed to handle the situation. It's nothing to write home about, but I do find it interesting how this series manages to have a story for fans to follow. Of course, because of the branching paths that Hardcore offers, the player is the one who determines the in-game progression. For a Contra game, what more exposition could you possibly need anyways?
Music and sound.
The music is very aggressive and upbeat. It serves as a perfect companion to the on-screen mayhem. You get a great mix of rave, techno, and rock compositions, all thanks to members of the Konami Kukeiha Club. Michiru Yamane worked on this game too, though she would get her spotlight on Castlevania Bloodlines. Unfortunately, it's really hard to tell who did which track in this game, since it's a wild and quirky composition style. I'd imagine composers were instructed to abide by the theme of the game. Sound effects in this game are awesome too. I really like the machine gun and explosion sounds. It's so over the top, it's just plain ridiculous. There is a stage where a wave of enemies driving motorcycles ambush you. What is really cool about this is that the engine rooms of the bikes are playing in key with the stage's music. Take a listen. It's so cool when details like that are implemented into the audio. Perhaps I'm talking too much, but I pay attention to these little things when I really like a game. I'll play a few of my favorite cuts so you can hear the music that defines Hardcore.
Development and philosophy.
Hardcore is part of the Konami Genesis trilogy. These exclusive games were made after Konami cut loose from Nintendo's monopoly in the game industry, along with their insecurities about their newly formed rivals, Treasure. They tasked designer Nobuya Nakazato with directing Rocket Knight Adventures and Contra Hardcore, with Castlevania Bloodlines being directed by a different team. The main goal was to make the games fun and technically impressive. It's also worth mentioning that the company received complaints from fans for focusing too much on Western licenses and intellectual properties. Nakazato confirms this in a commentary from Beat Mega Drive magazine, in which he says, "Lately, we've been receiving a lot of letters complaining that Konami is only making games for the Western market now. So I want to set the record straight here. No matter what anyone says, I'm telling you now that this game is a Contra for the Japanese Mega Drive, made with all the power we can muster. Take that." He also makes an interesting comment regarding the game's attitude and personality. If you change characters, the feel of the game changes slightly. I especially want players to notice the dialogue changes. Those who want the traditional Contra experience with the tough, edgy atmosphere of the previous games can pick Ray Powered. But if you knew someone like Brownie, the mood of the game changes to a kind of comic farce. Is this really Contra? With the two-player dialogue, there's some funny haggling between the characters. I expect players will enjoy the absurd contradiction between the pairing of the uber-serious Ray and the robot Brownie. It's true, this game has a much different personality than its predecessors. Contra 3 reveled in a more serious tone, while Hardcore comes off as an arrogant parody of Contra itself. Watch them side by side and the immense difference becomes quite clear. The first stage alone is quite proof of that. Okay guys, well that was Contra Hardcore. It's a pretty sick game, right? This part is totally not scripted, but if you feel like this game might be too much for you, then consider downloading the Japanese ROM, or tell a buddy to pick up a controller and join you. Konami games have always been about the co-op experience as well. If you're an action gamer like myself, maybe you're looking for, some really intense challenges, dude, the US version is like the fucking shiznits, so please play that. If you've never played Contra 3 though, like for real, if you never played Contra 3 and you never played Hardcore, play that game. Like seriously, play Contra 3 first, because I don't want to sound like a dick, but it's really more like a baby primer, Like I don't want to call Contra 3 a fucking baby, but like it's a pretty big difference, man, in speed, intensity, and challenge. So I'm just giving you a heads up. Like, definitely play that first, because it's still a great game. And I know I make comparisons with Contra 3, and I know I mentioned the whole thing about the Super Nintendo, but what I'm saying is true though. Like, it's not like I'm making this shit up, and it's not an ill intent either. Like, I think the Super Nintendo is a fantastic system. As a matter of fact, there's a really awesome channel called SNES Drunk. The guy is a monster. This guy releases videos every fucking week. It's great. I've discovered some awesome Super Nintendo games that I was just like, holy shit, this is actually on a system. Like, it's awesome. I'm a noob when it comes to Super Nintendo shit, so it's great. Please check him out, SNES Drunk. I'll put a link in the description there. And if you're seeing this, bro, keep doing your thing, man, okay? If SNES Drunk, if you are seeing this video, keep doing your thing, brother, okay? I will throw some dollars at your Patreon soon. I just haven't had the opportunity. Alright? To my subscribers, thank you very much for subscribing, man. I hope you like the new format I created for my profiles on games. It's not the most original thing in the world, but trust me, I get to talk about things I like but trust me, I get to talk about things in a much more comfortable fashion. I paid a lot of attention to the feedback on my Alien Soldier video. I put so much fucking work into this profile of Contra Hardcore. I fucking reformatted my whole content, basically. It's like, I really tried. I took so many notes. I watched it extensively. to, you know, see what I can improve on. I really hope I did, guys. I don't know, man. Drop a comment, tell me what you think about the video production, and let me know what you think about the game. Okay? So, that was this episode of Mega Drive Profile, and I'll see you next time. It's gonna be some awesome shit, man, I promise you, okay?